My family didn't care when I became a lawyer until my brother got arrested. Then all of a sudden, they wanted me again. After I passed the bar exam to become a lawyer, I texted my family the date and time of my swearing-in ceremony. My dad replied saying he couldn't make it because my brother Silas had a golf tournament that same day. My mom said she'd be at the tournament too. Silas sent a laughing emoji and wrote, "It's just a ceremony. You already passed. We'll celebrate later." I stared at my phone and typed back, "Understood." The ceremony was beautiful, and I sat there in a room full of new lawyers with their families cheering and taking pictures. I was alone. The woman next to me had her entire extended family there, and they kept apologizing for being too loud. I told them it was fine and tried not to cry. Afterwards, the law firm I'd joined took photos of all the new associates for their website and newsletter. I smiled in my professional headshot and pretended I wasn't heartbroken. My boss pulled me aside and said, "Where's your family? I wanted to meet them." I said they couldn't make it, and he looked confused but didn't push. I started working criminal defense, and I was good at it. Really good. I won cases that senior partners said were unwinnable. I worked 80-hour weeks and built a reputation. My family never asked about my work. At Thanksgiving, my dad spent an hour talking about Silas's promotion at his sales job, and when I mentioned I'd won a major case, he said, "That's nice," and changed the subject. Silas asked if I was dating anyone, and when I said I was too busy with work, he said, "You're always going to be too busy. That's your problem." My mom nodded and said, "He's right. You need balance." I said, "I have balance. I'm building a career." My dad laughed and said, "Silas has a career and still makes time for family. Maybe you should take notes." On Christmas, my dad gave Silas an expensive watch and gave me a gift card to Target. When I opened it, Silas smirked and said, "At least you can buy yourself something nice." I left early, and my mom texted me later saying I'd ruined Christmas by being dramatic. I stopped going to family dinners after that. My dad would text saying I was being distant and I needed to make more effort. I didn't respond. My mom called once and said, "Your father is hurt that you won't come around anymore. Family is supposed to forgive." I said, "Family is supposed to show up," and hung up. 6 months after my swearing-in ceremony, I got a call from my dad at 2 in the morning. He said, "Silas has been arrested. You need to come to the police station right now." I was exhausted from a long day in court, but I got dressed and drove 40 minutes to the station. Silas had gotten into a bar fight and assaulted someone badly enough to send them to the hospital. The charges were aggravated assault, and he was looking at serious prison time. My dad grabbed my arm when I walked in and said, "You have to fix this. You're a lawyer. You can make this go away." I said, "I'm a criminal defense attorney. I don't make things go away. I defend people in court." He said, "So defend him. He's your brother." I looked at Silas sitting in the holding cell, and he wouldn't even look at me. My dad said, "We're family. You owe us this." I said, "I owe you this? Where were you 6 months ago when I got sworn in?" My dad said, "This is different. This is important. That was just a ceremony." I felt something cold settle in my chest and said, "You want me to represent Silas?" He said, "Of course. You're his brother." I said, "My hourly rate is $500. A case like this will probably cost around $50,000 by the time we get to trial." My dad's face went red and he said, "You're going to charge your own brother?" I said, "You're asking me to use the law degree you said wasn't a big deal, the one you couldn't be bothered to celebrate. Yeah, I'm going to charge him." My dad said, "How can you be so selfish? He's family." I said, "Family shows up. You didn't show up for me. Why should I show up for him?" Silas finally spoke up and said, "Come on, you know I didn't mean anything by missing your thing. This is my life we're talking about." I said, "It was my life too. I worked for years to get that degree. I sacrificed everything. And when I finally succeeded, you chose a golf tournament over being there." My dad said, "We'll pay whatever you want. Just please help him." I said, "I'll represent him. Standard rates, 50% up front. And I want you all to know that every single hour I bill is an hour you told me wasn't worth your time." I got Silas a plea deal that kept him out of prison. They paid every invoice on time. We haven't spoken since.